In this video, we are going to see about what is pointer and how we can manipulate data through pointer address. So first of all, we will understand what is pointer is. Pointer is a variable where we can store address of another variable address. Okay, pointer is a variable to store address of another variable. Right. So anyway, we know how to define a variable, right? Anyway, pointer is also going to be a variable. So let us define a variable that is pointer, and we can see how we can do all those things with a pointer address. Okay. So let us say we have a main method here, right? So we know how to define a variable, right? We know how to define a variable. So let's say if I need to define a variable, I need to say what is the data type, right? But here we need to say what is the data type of value we are going to store inside that address. So let's say I'm going to store integer inside my address. And let's say this is the variable to store the address address. But when you say int p, it is going to take, that is compiler is going to assume that it is a variable to store value, but we are creating a variable to store address, right? So whenever we are creating a variable to store address, we need to create it with dereferencing operator, right? It is int star p. Okay. So let's say I have declared a pointer, and let me try to print this one. Let me try to print this one, and let me know what is there inside my pointer. So I need to print a pointer, and I'm trying to print p it is, right? So I'm trying to run my code. So it is gcc test.c, and I'm going to run a.exe here. Anyway, it is going to give you, it need to give an error, but let's check what it is going to give. No, it is going to give you it is going to give you a garbage value, which is 00208000 is a garbage value, which is assigned to a pointer where the value is not declared. And what if I am trying to get value? This is address of your pointer, right? It is address of your pointer. So what if I'm trying to print value from my pointer? So if I need to print the value from my pointer, then I need to use dereferencing, that is value of operator. And I'm trying to run this code again. I'm compiling it and I'm trying to run the code, and it is going to give me 0 because it is an int pointer, right? It is an int default value, which is 0 is, yeah, 0 is been initialized. So let's say how we can assign a value to this address. Okay. So for that, we need a variable. So I'm creating a variable int a equal to 5. And I'm going to store the address of a inside this pointer. So we know to get an address of a, we will use ampersand, and I'm going to pass address of a here, right? So now if I try to print this one, it is going to give me the value at the pointer p, right? It is going to give me the value at pointer p, which is 5 here. Hopefully it is going to give us 5. Yes, that is value at this address. That is value at this ampersand a is 5, right? So that is what it is giving, right? Hope you understand what is pointer and how to define a pointer and how to get a value back from a pointer. So let's say we have an array. Okay. Let's say I'm defining an array here. So a int error of 5 equal to, I'm defining an array. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm trying to print, sorry, I'm going to create a pointer, that is pointer to store address of this array. So let's say I'm going to create a pointer. I need to create a pointer using a dereference operator. So it is pointer for array, and I need to pass the value here, right? So I'm going to pass the value. So what will be the address of array it is? So address of array is nothing but nothing but an address of first element in the array. That is, if I say address of array, then it is going to be address of ARR at the element at the index of 0 it is, right? So let me try to print two things to explain you the thing. The first one is I'm trying to print the address of element at the index of 0, and I'm trying to print one more thing, address of, instead of address of array, I'm printing the identifier, that is ARR here. Okay, so let me try to run this and let us see what will be the output we are getting. Okay, so I'm trying to run this one, compiling, and I'm trying to execute this one. So yes, you can see that we are getting the same value twice. Let me give a next line statement here to understand the things. So I'm compiling it again and I'm trying to run the code. You can see the ampersand ARR of 0 and the identifier ARR is carrying, both are carrying the same value, that is address of first element, right? So here the address of first element is equal to the value in the identifier, right? So now the thing is, let us manipulate data. Let us manipulate data. Let me delete this one. Now let us have we have a scenario that I need to print each element from the array, and I need to print each element from a single dimensional array it is. Okay, so for that I will use a for loop, and I'm going to start initialize with 0 and I'm going to move until I have 5 elements, and I need to iterate through each element, so it is I plus plus. And here I'm trying to print, anyway the value is going to be integer and I need to print in each line, so slash n, and I need to get the value through the variable which is ARR of IFS. So this one we know, that is we are trying to get values through a variable ARR, right, using index number. So if I try to run this, it is going to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is value in the array, right? It is printing the value in the array. So how we can print the same thing? This is using, that is I'm just giving a heading here, that is I am trying to print using index number, right? I am trying to print using index number it is. I am trying to print using an index number here. And next one, I am trying to print the same using pointer. Okay, that is I'm trying to manipulate the array using point. So instead of index number, I'm going to use pointer here. Okay, so we know the first element of, that is identifier of array, is going to carry the address of first element, right? So ARR is going to carry the address of first element. And if I call the value from this address, then it need to print the first element, right? So let me try to run this. I'm compiling it and I'm executing this, and it is going to print 1 5 times. Hopefully it will print 1 5 times because we are trying to print the value in ARR 5 times, right? So if I need to iterate through the element, I'm just going to add 1 to this ARR. So I'm going to print not 1 here, it is actually I, because I need to iterate through ith element, right? So when I say, let's say it is going to create something like this. Let's say it is going to, let me open an Excel sheet to explain this one, right? So here, let's say we have created value. Okay. It is, we have created an array with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is, this is our value, right? So it is an array. right? Now we need to get the values using address. Let's say, let us assume that the first element is carrying the address 1000, second element is carrying the address 1004. Why I have given four number between these two addresses? Each value is having, that is, each value is an integer, right? So it is going to carry 4 bytes. So I'm just giving that 4 here. And let's say it is carrying 1008, and it is 1012, and last one it is 1016. Okay. Now we know that the identifier ARR is going to carry the value 1000 here, right? So only we are trying to get 1000th value, that is the value at address of 1000 here, right? Value of address 1000, right? So now if I say I add 0 to that one, it is going to give value of address 1000, right? That is 1000 plus 0, it is going to be 1000. When I say, when it is a second iteration, so I is going to be 1, right? So when it is 1, ARR plus 1 is going to be, that is the value added 1 is the element size. Okay. The element size in the array is 4, right? That is 4 bytes. So it is going to be added like 1000 plus 4 bytes. Okay. Then it is going to get the value at the address of 1004. So now when I try to run this code, it is going to print me. Let me, yes. It is going to print me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of 1 printing 5 times. Hope you understood this. So it is using pointer, right? So this is how we can manipulate through a one dimension array. So let us manipulate through a two dimensional array. Okay. So let me comment it out. Let me comment these things. Let's say I'm not going to use these things. So I'm just commenting it out. And I'm trying to create an array here. Say it is going to carry integer values. So ARR, and it is going to be two-dimensional array. And in two-dimensional array, I'm going to have values that is 1, 2, 3, comma it is 4, 5, 6, right? So it is going to carry 2 rows, and it is going to carry 3 columns in each, right? So this is my two-dimensional array. And as you know, the element of this two-dimensional array is, this is the first element of two-dimensional array, and this is the second element of two-dimensional array. Okay. If I need to iterate through each element, then when it is two-dimensional, I'm going to use a outer loop and a nested loop. So I'm going to start with int I equal to 0th index, and I'm going to move until 2 rows, because outer loop is going to iterate through rows. It is, we have 2 rows, right? This is 1 row and this is another row. So I less than 2, and I'm going to iterate through each element. So I plus plus, right? So now inside this, let's say I forgot a semicolon here. So inside this, that is, this I is going to take, when I is 0, it is going to take this element, that is 1 row. And when I is 1, it is going to take the next row. So now I need to iterate through each element from this row, right? For that, I'm just going to create a for loop where int j equal to start with 0. And in each row, we have 3 elements. So j less than 3, and I'm going to iterate through each element it is, right? So I'm trying to print. So till now, we know these things. So we are trying to print an integer, and I'm going to move into the next line, or else let us go with the same line. And I'm going to give a space, and I'm going to iterate through ARR of I to j, right? And once I printed each element, I'm going to, that is, once I print the first row, I need to move to the next line. So I'm using printf, and in printf, I'm using next line statement, right? So if I try to run this, you can see that if I try to run this, I'm just compiling and executing. It is going to print me the two-dimensional array. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here I have printed using the index number, that is variable. So instead of that, I am trying to print using a, right? So here I have printed using index number. So I have printed using index number. So next one, I'm trying to print using the pointer. Okay. So I'm trying to print using a pointer. So let me try to do that. So again, if I'm try to print a 2D array using pointer, then I need to create two loops. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy these things. Instead of typing, I'm just going to copy this thing. Right. So now I need to print values. That is, anyway, value is going to be an integer. Or else I'm going to print in the same row it is. Okay. And I'm going to give a space. After that, I need to get the value through pointer, right? So let's say the pointer is going to have, that is, identifier is going to have the first address. So first address is address of this row, right? Right. So ARR is going to have the address of this row, right? So address of this row is going to be ARR plus I. So this is what we have executed here. Hope you understood the things. That is, in single dimension, we have done this. Address of this row is, it is ARR plus I. So when I try to call the value from ARR plus I, it is going to give me the address of first row it is. When I is 0, it is going to give the address of first row. Okay. So from that address, I need to get the value. For that, I'm going to use the J to take each column, right? And I'm going to get value from this address it is. I'm going to get value from this address. Hope you understood. So once it is printed, I'm trying to print. I'm moving to the next line. I'm just going to use /n, right? So I'm trying to execute the thing again, compiling and getting executed. And it is going to give you the same output when I'm using index number and when I'm using pointer. You can see that using index number also it is giving the same, and using pointer manipulation I'm getting the same output, right? So if you need to, if I need to explain these things, let us try to decode this one. Okay, let us try to decode this one. Let me come here, and this is the code what we have, right? So let's say this is the code what we have. Let me go back, and go back, right? And I'm trying to get the array also here, because for our understanding, let us take the array also here, right? So this is the array. Okay. So actually I'm trying to iterate this array through a, I'm trying to iterate this array through the pointer, right? So let's say at the first time when this loop is executing, I is going to be 0, right? So anyway, we know ARR as per our explanation, it is going to have two things, right? So anyway, this is going to be a, that is, actually this is going to be a one row, and we have another one, and this is going to be the next row. That is, it is going to carry 6 here, right? So 6 is going to have an address of 1020, right? So this is how our two-dimensional array will be stored. Okay. Now this ARR is going to have the value of first element, which is 1000, right? So let us come here and let us see when I is 0. Okay. Let's say when I is 0 and J is 0, that is first iteration. the formula is going to be, that is, this formula is going to be ARR plus I. That is, ARR is 1000 plus I is going to be 0 plus J is going to be 0. Okay. Hope you understood. Yeah, right. So it is not actually 0. It is, that is, I is nothing but a row, right? So this is actually a row. Now the size of this row is actually 12, right? That is, each element is carrying 4 byte size, and we have 3 elements where it is 12 bytes. Okay. So now this is going to carry 12. So it is going to be 0 into 12. Right. And when it is J, J is going to carry the column elements. That is, each element is carrying 4 byte size. So J is going to be 0 into 4 bytes. Right. So at the end, it is going to be the element at 1000th address. Right. Element at 1000th address is 1. So it is printing 1. Hope you understood this one. When it is second iteration, I is going to be same. This loop is going to be execute again until 3. So J is going to be 1. Here, instead of 0 into 4, it is going to be 1 into 4. Now the thing is, it is 1000 plus 0 plus 4. So it is going to be the value at address of 1004. So value at address of 1004 is going to be 2. Right? So next one, J is going to be 2. And it is going to be 2 into 4. Then it is going to be 8008. So value at address of 1008 is going to be 3. Right? After this, when J is 3, this is going to be false. So it is going to move to the next line. Right? So in the next line, now I is going to be increased to 1. Right? So now I is going to be 1. I is going to be 1 and J is going to be 0. Now when I is 1 and J is 0, it is going to be 1000 plus 12 plus 0, where it is 1012. So it is going to take the value from the address of 1012, which is 4, right? It is going to print 4. So next one, I is again going to be 1 and J is going to be 1. And here it is 1 into 12 and 1 into 4, right? Anyway, it is I and this is J. Now it is 1016 and value at address of 1016 is 5 it is, right? So it is going to print 5. Next one, when I is 1 and J is 2, it is going to give you 1 and 2 and it will be the address at the 1020, right? So it is going to print you 6. So this is how we are getting this output using the pointer. Hope you understood the things. In our next video I will post the next video today. There is 2 more videos today. That is, we are going to explore more problems in array manipulation. That is, adding values and reversing an array and searching an element in array using pointer. So we will do all these things in our next videos. Okay. For now, hope you understood the things. If you have not understood, you can pass the questions in the comment. I will explain you the things again.